Thanks, Bhavna, for those lovely introductions. And since morning, we have had two discussions, very insightful conversations on technology. And we'll be wrapping up this entire discussions on PropTech with three of our very eminent experts who are creating a differentiator in their own domains. We will know about that in a while, what they are doing to create a paradigm shift or a disruption in this segment. Before that, let me ask our eminent experts here their experiences, their observation on the present scenario. What's happening? We have had a lot of experts talking about the latest opportunities or the trends or where the challenges lie. First of all, Ram, let me ask you, you have been across the various verticals of real estate. What are the three aspects you believe technology, we are talking about smart and sustainable properties, how technology is or can create three ways smart and sustainable properties?
I think technology has changed everything that the way we experience our life from morning to evening. Uh, and specifically talking about Indian real estate, I think we are still far, far behind in terms of where we should have been, but still how it can change if we talk about that. I think the first part is that the experience of buying uh, that needs to change because I think most of the startups, we are the only listed company in the space which has invested in about 14 prop tech companies. With that experience, I'm saying that most of the companies are trying to solve the point of sale problem, whether it is lead, whether it is conversion, but nobody is really solving that period of 1 to 4 year in which the property will get delivered. I think that's the first thing that needs to change. The second challenge is the servicing of the property once it is delivered. Uh, Between the developers and the societies, it almost becomes like activism. There is no platform which solves that challenge where once the property is handed over for next 2 to 3 years, whether it is in terms of utility of that property or renting or managing that property is concerned, that's not handed over well. That's the second. And the third point that technology needs to change, and I'm specifically talking about residential here, is the secondary market. While there is a whole focus on primary market, we must realize that the secondary market is any day close to about 30 to 32 times bigger than the primary market. Somebody needs to really solve that. So I think technology will have to solve these three challenges. Uh, and I'm sure entrepreneurs here are listening and they would really do something about it.
So three areas from Ram where we need to tap those areas, potential areas, uh, after sale service of the project, once the building is completed. Even a phone gives a after sale service, and here we are buying a crores of property, and after sale service is where it is lacking. you know why talk only about sales, but when the project is under construction, when the project is getting executed, that is where we need technology. And then of course the secondary market everyone is overlooking, it's huge. um, Kaustav, let me come to you. He spoke about, these are the three areas where, technology can make a difference, make it smarter. In construction, we all know, there are a lot of inefficiencies when we are talking about construction. Three key areas where we have an opportunity for technology to bridge that gap.
So, first of all, the in the project lifecycle, one sees today there is a trend where the project management itself has gone to a different level. In India, of course, at a nascent stage, we are moving towards a BIM-enabled project management or construction management practices, for more efficient planning, design, construction, and even in the post-maintenance phase as well. It's not only during the construction. So the project management aspect. Second, of course, is the customer experience. So when a customer, because I mean post-COVID, and of course we see an increasing trend where, and more importantly, there is a DIY customer. So 70% millennials are DIY customers. So they have their own preferences, needs. So how do you consistently meet and even exceed their expectations? Their technology has a role to play. Maybe it is a portal or a chat bot where you can have a 24/7 availability, answer routine questions, even take feedbacks and suggestions, or a big data for capturing your preferences so you are given a more tailored output. So that is the second part. And thirdly, I mean, of course, there are different segments. So when one moves to a construction phase and then one moves to an utilization of that, maybe a leasing model or any other model. So the entire process chain, so base ERP has to be built up on which we can build all these satellite systems which can give to a project management or a customer experience, or even the efficiencies and productivities of the workforce. So bringing that even to the workforce level where you capture the data at source, which forms the base for you to increase your productivity and efficiency.
That's right. The technology has to connect to the workforce as well, who are a very important part of the team. The customer experience, the project maintenance, and then the engaging the workforce on ground for the project. That is where the opportunities lie when we are talking about construction of projects. Uh, Let me ask you, Jay, we have spoken, Ram has spoken about where the opportunities lie for technology to make it smarter. Kaustav spoke about technologies in construction where they can make a difference. As a prop tech player, how do you make a compelling case to engage a client? We were talking about earlier, how do we convince the client?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello. Thanks, Sapna, for that. Firstly, I sound a little bit like Batman, but I just have a really bad cold, so I'm sorry for that. Uh, I, I I have a very different belief on technology. I think real estate in general, uh, it's of course a pretty old profession, and the idea is we're constantly as technology providers, we are looking to tell them, oh, there's this new amazing thing. Why don't you use it? I think it needs to be flipped the other way around, where I think we have to understand how it is currently done, where we are able to significantly add value tangibly and then showcase that through case studies, through success stories, and start looking at how integration happens. Because while we as technology providers always look at it as, oh, they are not understanding the value, I think actually it should be flipped the other way around, where we should start saying, why should they understand the value? If there is value, showcase it where they are able to take on. Uh, and I think that our starting point always should be, there is something that's already being done. How does one show a tangible, clear methodology where they are able to use it, test it, pilot it? And if it is able to do a better job, why would somebody not use it? So I think we should flip uh, almost the onus on ourselves rather than who we are looking to serve.
Okay. So great feedback inputs from Jay that if you are making a case to a client, what's in it for him? That is what we need to project to him, that why he should be using the technology. What difference is it going to make in his life, in his business? That is the way to go for pitching the technology rather than talking about technology. Anyways, this was what their views on present scenario in prop tech segment, where the gaps are. Now let me ask them what they are doing to make a difference. Jay, starting with you, what Kaizen AI can do for customers?
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about what Kaizen AI does. So Kaizen AI is actually just a value optimization platform where we start looking at design efficiencies. So the essence is that usually a typical project goes through concept, schematic, design development, good for construction and construction. Uh, what we've done is that at schematic stage, we actually input the model into our platform, and we run a minimum of 10,000 iterations on it to start looking to improve efficiency across certain parameters. The reasoning of that is to start looking at minimal change, maximum impact. So to explain a little bit better, we've had experiences where we've now done about 146 odd projects across Miami, New York, Dubai, Saudi, a lot of projects in India. And what we found is there's a huge potential for direct increase in profitability through reduction of construction area, construction cost, increase of leasable area. So we basically show a tangible difference between where you are and where you could be without changing design contours and regulatory frameworks.
Okay, that's great. And what was maybe a biggest critique you got for
So,
from the client on this?
I think that often what happens is that with most clients in the beginning, it becomes, oh, this is not possible. So when we first started, where we were front-ended, where we said, to run this, it is extremely expensive, there's a certain cost, etc. We actually flipped it on its head, where we said, we'll run it for when the value is there, we take a percentage of it. So if you are able to show somebody on this project, here's a way of you being able to add 400 crores, add 100 crores, very few people will say, no, I don't want to earn more money. So what we found is that unless you are able to tangibly show the difference on their specific problem, I think, we'll just continue talking. The minute you are able to showcase that difference, then once somebody is sold, you tend to obviously have that client for life.
Okay, that's fantastic. Cost of similarly, can you give us any best case scenario where SAP or ERP implementation made a enhance the delivery and quality of a project for one of your clients?
Hello, am I audible? Yeah, so it would be unfair to point out to one client. So basically, before going there, so just let me take a second to explain what we do. So we are actually operating only in the niche segment of infrastructure, real estate construction. So that is our first thing. And second, we are into building value for our customers. One of the means of that is, let's say, an ERP solution and other allied solutions with maybe integrations so that the customer end-to-end life cycle gets covered. So in the process, I would like to believe, I mean, of course, we have had different levels of customers, right from startups. Let's say even for DLF also, we are an owner support office. We have been associated with Loda, or maybe Prestige or Salarpuria Satva or Suntek, Runwal, so on and so forth. So in all these places, what we have done is we have automated their processes, right from the inception to the customer touch points and even post-maintenance phases. So you talk of cash flow planning, you talk of your project management methods, you talk of your BOQ controls, you talk of regulatory compliances, or you talk about customer touch points, whether it is demands, receipts, or maybe interfacing to a CRM solution, so on and so forth. So what it helps is, it takes away the things which technology can do. You focus on real value-added work. The RCAs are much easier. Your decisions are faster, so you have a good decision-making system, and you build on top of that. So that is what we do, and we have been doing it for over a decade now. So that is what I would like to believe.
Okay. Any example that you would like to give where it made a lot of difference to a client?
So, for example, we just now, I mean, a month or so back, one of my clients is M3M in Delhi. So we just now went live with the entire processes for 3 of their legal entities in Noida and around. So now they are now fully automated. They were earlier using some ad hoc tally-based systems. So everything is automated. They have budget controls in place. The workforce is more happy, they're more productive. And because of what they have seen, now there are another 24 entities which M3M is deciding now needs to immediately come up on SAP. Similarly, there is an interface happening with the CRM software. So all this are actually happening. So basically a productivity and a quantum leap in efficiency.
And obviously the project quality also and the delivery time also kind of.
Everything is
also
it's more
enhanced.
accurate, it's timely. And of course, from a compliance perspective, you are there. You have
Yeah.
GST compliances, you have
Correct.
RERA compliances. So you are there.
Correct. Ram, you just heard both of them, what they are doing in their spaces. He's making construction much more seamless. Kaizen AI is using AI in a big way in customer experience and turning the businesses around. Uh, in your space, are you looking at creating some kind of an ecosystem where we can bring these technologies together for a better development, smarter development for real estate projects?
Sapna, I would have needed at least 1 hour to say what all I'm doing, but let me try and make it simpler so I enjoy my life. Uh, it's very difficult to explain it, but still, we started in the mid of 2020. And when we started, it was fear of missing out by private equity guys. We had two things with us. One, we had aged. So I'm 46 and Mr. Ashish Devra exactly was 46 then. So we were both 46 by the way, now 49.
So we know the
Uh,
age. Okay, we know
so
your
we
age
both
now.
thought that, we can use our strategic insight of construction, real estate, banking, and capital with us in doing something really different for the country. And that's where we came out with a word that rather than FOMO, fear of missing out, let's have JOMO, which is joy of missing out. So the first challenge that we were trying to solve is that how do we really compete with the private equity space, which was just fueling every single aspiration into an unicorn. So what we did was we acquired a listed company and about 350 crore, which is committed to the PropTech, is through the listed company. Now, there are three areas that then we worked on. We realized that we can't work on all. So that's why every time you talk of technology, I just feel like in some vacuum. But we thought that entrepreneurs can do a better job of building technology, and we can only provide them with strategy, governance, and capital. So we provided three of this through the listed company in three areas. One is the services, where we have acquired close to about 7 companies, which includes Beyond Walls, which includes Career Socially, many, many companies in that area. The second is the SaaS, which is software as a service, which is Sell.do, which has close to about 60% market share in India. HouseMonk, which is the only Indian software as a service in rental real estate space, and then Office Monk, which was recently, and then the capital. The third is the capital, which is where we acquired Myre Capital and Integrow, which I run. So the only discount I got from Aurum PropTech is I still own 51% of Integrow and 49% is with Aurum PropTech. The idea was that we would acquire the majority stake, but do not leave the founders outside. And very happy to share that we have close to about 22 entrepreneurs building the ecosystem right from one end to the other end of delivery, going up to the servicing the properties even after you have purchased and you are leaving, including Insta Home as a pilot project which we ran only in Thane, which is in about 1 day's time you can sell your secondary home for a fair price. So it's like the car dekho model, where we will buy it, refurbish and sell it back. So that's what we are doing from Aurum PropTech. And the last one, which I talked about, Integrow Asset Management, is the technology. But technology, capital using technology. So we have a technology platform where a developer, right from just putting his CTS number to even requesting for a 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees bill, everything is automated, it is on the technology. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay, that's great. I think that is what we need. All one like you said, mentoring and governance, and giving them that support. The technology or the prop tech startups or the prop tech companies. That is what they need. That is where sometimes they get lost also, and then creating a bouquet of what you spoke about, technology and then the capital and then the other segments also, bringing them together. I think that is what is the right now. What happens is, my next question is that, like you said, and like other speakers also said, uh, for real estate developers, there is still not full engagement with technology. It's piecemeal. Okay, somewhere there, somewhere here. The understanding. uh, Ram, what do you think, what is lacking in the, we have spoken about PropTech segment, what PropTech segment is doing, what you are doing, what other PropTech players are doing, but what is lacking in the real estate players that is creating that gap in the full engagement with technology?
I think two things. One is the language. You're trying to play the South African national anthem and expect them to get up and respect it in India. That's the first thing. I think in technology, we have not been able to seriously create a language of communication with the developers. That's the first one. The second thing is developers are the only community where you can actually count the number of developers and divide it by 4, you will get the number of associations that they work with, because real estate development is a very very local business. For every locality there is a association. I think somebody needs to nationalize it like a NASCOM. We are already at more than 3,50,000 rupees worth transactions every year. It's a high need. Developers cannot use the associations only to solve their local issues and local problems. They need to start building institutions in India. Few have already done. I think they are already a good example. And you can see that happening, that in the listed space of more than $3.6 trillion, real estate represents less than 2%. And that's a very, very bad position to be in a growing market for next 10 years. So I hope the developers understand, and even from the technology, we are trying to do that. But it's a massive investment in education of this industry. So on one hand, if it is the technology guys come together and create a platform for education, on the second hand, somebody need to nudge the developers to invest in corporate governance, start thinking about the capital markets as one capital rather than only staying to the private investors and shifting between the AIFs, NBFCs and the banks.
That's right. PropTech players are doing a lot of conversations, bringing but as you said, the associations, I think at that level, the industry bodies, I think a lot of initiatives is required. Jay, what do you have to add to it in your experience? Where does the real estate sector lacks?
Again, maybe I
You would like to flip it?
because it's very funny. And the more one travels, the more one realizes that there are issues everywhere, and everyone looks at things a certain way, rather than asking them to change and expecting them to change. If there is a methodology in which you are able to showcase what you are able to do, where it is valuable. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that. So when this is of course my second startup, where I made a whole bunch of mistakes in my first startup, but uh, two things that we did was, one, like with any technology, you sort of said, oh, this is this mind-blowing thing. Why would somebody not want it? And we realized, but the minute we started talking about technology, all the eyes would glaze over. 98% of the people we would talk to, there would be nothing left. So we completely stopped talking about technology. We said, there's one of the earliest projects we did was, there was a building that was already built, and next door, the same building was to be done again. Ajmera Trion at Island. So Ajmera Trion and Zion were to be the same. Ajmera Trion was on piling. They had already sold apartments, exact same apartments as Zion. And at that stage, they were like, you can't change apartment design. We've got all our approvals in place. You can't change that. You can't change any slab outlines. You can't change floor. There's basically nothing one can do. Within that, we were able to increase saleable area by almost 13%, while reducing constructed area by about 18%, and reduce FAR consumption per floor by 11%. So today, if you see next to each other, they are both standing with the same apartments. There's a tangible profitability increase of 450 crores right next door. And for us, being able to showcase clear case studies of this is what is done, you can go and visit it. Like that, we've done Suntec, Godrej Properties, we're doing a bunch in all over the world. It doesn't translate very well for us to show, in Miami that, oh, come see this project in Bombay. But, that's a challenge we're facing, as we expand. But the way I look at it is, what technology can do is mind blowing, and we're all in this room because we've seen the impact of that. Rather than asking somebody to open their eyes and, oh my God, this can be done. Instead, why don't you actually prove it? And then there is no reason why. I mean, we're doing multiple projects with all Godrej, all of the listed players, right? Once they've experienced it, once they see, oh, I've heard there's 50 crores where I gained on this project, why wouldn't they want to implement it?
Right, right. So while Ram says that yes, the real estate sector needs to change, the industry bodies need to work towards probably creating more awareness. Jay's views is we have to live with the fact that real estate is still hesitant to technology. So work around it. Costa, what do you have to say? Why real estate is lacking, where it is lacking, and how do we create more engagement?
Yeah, so first of all, I am borrowing the sentiments and agreeing with what they're saying. Having said that, still, if I see 5, 6 years back, and if I see the real estate community today, I still see that there has been an upward trend. More importantly, with the next generation of entrepreneurs coming into the real estate segment, who are themselves tech savvy, so there is an impetus to that as well. Having said that, there is still a way to go. Uh, I was listening him say that same thing, and I believe that the gap which happens is the communication gap which happens is technology partners go and talk technology. Business wants to hear how their pain points are being addressed. They're not interested in technology, so there is the gap. So, and I see like, of course, unifying I mean, what we were saying, there are also, because what happens is there are a host of solutions, there are a lot of products, various ERPs, various other solutions. So from a realtor also who is inclined to technology, he or she doesn't know where to start, which one product to choose, what is the roadmap that I need to follow in my digital journey. So there is a role that partners also have to play. So who understand business, who understand technology. So this talk business sense at the back end and make the technology enabling to meet those business challenges. So that is, I think, once, and those players I see very little, maybe few and far in between. So that is the first thing which I see is a gap. Secondly, what I also see is for even early starters who have adopted technology, there is some sort of impatience to get results. Okay, so it will take some time, maybe a few years before you actually start getting, and you need to handle the change management process well, because it's I mean, by the genesis, it is not a very organized industry. So, and the workforce quality, the people that you have, so there is a lot of mindset change which is also required. So, all in all, I think the partner community and correct partners, advisors who are there, if they talk, we have seen deals happening from lead to conversion in less than 1 month. It can be as fast if you are able to provide that value proposition. Somebody is stitching that entire solution and addressing the needs of the customer. It is not impossible. Only if you follow the right value proposition, it happens.
Change management, I think that was the right word. We need to handle that change management very efficiently. I think from Ram, the inputs are that uh, I think real estate is one of the biggest pillars of Indian economy, and the contribution to the markets is so little that that's something very sad that needs to be looked at. uh, Accepting the fact that there is a lacking from the real estate community. So how do we work around it is what Jay's inputs are, that what that is what PropTech players can do. And like Kaustav said, that handling that change management efficiently, understanding the client is something very important if we are talking about creating enhanced real estate sector. And I think for the PropTech segment, probably it is not as glamorous as probably fintech, edtech, fashion tech, food tech that we see, maybe because it is very unorganized at this point of time. But I'm sure with players like these in the segment, we are going to see PropTech becoming very sexy soon for the investors. So thank you so much, Ram. Thank you, Jay, and thanks, Costa, for sharing your inputs. Any questions for our speakers? We will open the forum, although they have explained themselves very well. Anyone who has any questions for our speakers, we can take them now.
If you have any questions, you'd like to raise your hand, we'll get the mic passed.
I think you have been very clear in your communications, and they have all understood very well. or maybe they are impatient for the lunch break.
I think that's the.
The latter emotion is preceding. No, I'm just.
So thank you so much once again. It was lovely talking to you and fantastic conversation.